Hello, I'm Dylan,
And I'm Kiyan.
and this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we murder a bunch of people.
And try to cover it up. Spoilers for this
Two
serial.
episode serial.
Yes. And also, we don't do that.
No, we're not murderers.
And, yeah. So this week, we watched The Rescue. The first serial not to feature Susan at all, because she left.
Yeah, maybe you didn't listen to our podcast last week, or maybe you've never listened to our podcast before, but Susan's gone.
And, yeah.
Yep. And
Maybe there'll be a new companion this serial. Maybe there won't be.
we watched it already, we already know.
But we'll find out.
Anyway, so the TARDIS materializes in
In a
somewhere.
cave. A cave.
The doctor's asleep.
And Barbara and Ian are like, whoa, the doctor's never slept through a materialization before.
So they wake him up.
And in these first few scenes, the doctor's, I guess he's kind of missing Susan.
Well, she did just leave.
Yeah.
And he did just sleep for who knows how long.
Yeah.
So,
So they decide to go exploring without him. Well,
the doctor's like, we should go explore. And then they go outside and the doctor says, I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah.
And he goes back
even
in.
though he just woke up. So Barbara and Ian walk around, and they meet this weird alien dude.
This thing.
Looks kind of like a fish, like one of those deep sea creatures.
Meanwhile, we see there's a spaceship that's crashed on the planet. And there's this person inside.
Yeah, there's two humans, Vicki and Bennett.
Vicki.
Lucky.
She was almost named Lucky.
Yes.
Spelled Lukki, but she wasn't.
And so Vicki and Bennett are on this spaceship, which is crash landed on Dido,
Dido.
which is the planet that they're on, and they're talking about how they just need to wait until the rescue ship comes to get them.
And Vicki thinks the rescue ship's already landed, because I guess the radar's picking up the TARDIS.
And then Bennett is like, no, it couldn't be.
It hasn't been 2 days, or whatever.
Yeah. And they're afraid of this dude named Caquillian. Caquillian.
Caquillian, why? Caquillian.
And,
So then we see, again, Ian and Barbara get split up.
wait, do you see Caquillian on the ship at that point? I think you do.
No. Do you?
Yeah,
I don't think you do.
Okay, well. So, anyway, Ian and Barbara are still looking around.
And Caquillian, well, we don't know it's Caquillian, but Caquillian shows up.
He's the weird alien fish thing, dude, with the actually pretty legit costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, costume actually looked pretty cool.
And he asked them if they came in a ship, and Ian's like, yes, we have another person. I'll go get him. And so he goes, and then Caquillian just knocks Barbara off the cliff.
Yeah, and apparently he has this staff that can just blow large areas up at will.
And he
that's what we
seals the
did.
cave.
So,
And that's how Barbara gets written out. And Barbara just dies.
yes, Barbara's dead now. We're getting a new companion to replace her. Bennett and Vicki join up with the doctor.
Okay, so
So Ian goes back to the TARDIS, and he tells the doctor what's happened, and the doctor's like, this is Dido, I've been here before, and there's no possible way that...
they would be so violent.
Yeah, and Ian's like, well...
They are. So they escape, they try to find another way out the cave, and they find an incredibly elaborate trap.
It's like a spike wall that's designed to push them into this pit with a creature.
That eats them.
Yeah.
That's like a 3-step process right there.
But the spikes are placed so far apart that they just walk through them and escape.
And then then the doctor figures out how to retract the spikes, and then they just carry on. And then the first episode ends. The first episode ends when Ian's about to be pushed into the pit.
Yeah. So
and then episode 2.
Episode 2 of this majestic serial.
Barbara's not dead. We're just kidding.
Surprise!
The companion that replaces Barbara is Barbara.
Barbara 2.
So, Vicki has taken Barbara to the ship.
Yes, and she tells Barbara that she and Bennett are the 2 survivors of
The Dino people.
They're
killing off the crew.
Yeah, so apparently the people of Dido invited the entire crew to some sort of event
Meeting?
and they just killed everyone. Bennett and Vicki was still on the ship because she was sick. Bennett managed to escape, and now they're on the ship, and they're waiting for this rescue ship to come get them. But this dude named Coquillian is like, "Yo, I'm taking you guys hostage," but Coquillian doesn't know that the rescue ship is coming for them, so they're trying to keep it a secret for a couple days and just wait it out.
Yes.
And Barbara's like, "Whoa, that's intense."
And Coquillian tells Vicki that the men in the cave are dead, and Barbara's like, "No, they're not dead. The Doctor and Ian are dead. They can't die because they're the main characters."
Yeah, so they begin harboring Barbara. And
then the Doctor and Ian show up.
No, first Barbara kills
Oh yeah.
someone.
Sandy.
So Vicki has this pet, Sandy, which was the alien that was it was the creature that was supposed to eat people that fell in the pit, but she tamed it and named it Sandy, and it's like her pet. So she goes out of the ship when Coquillian's away, and Barbara comes out and she sees Sandy next to Vicki, and she's like, "Watch out!" And she fires this flare at Sandy and kills him.
And Vicky's like, "What the hell, Barbara?"
Yeah, Vicki gets pissed.
So,
and meanwhile,
and then Doctor and Ian show up.
Yeah, and Bennett, meanwhile, is sleeping in the other room.
Because his legs were injured in the explosion.
Yeah.
That killed off all the other crew members.
And,
So the Doctor and Ian show up.
And the Doctor, Ian, and Barbara try and comfort Vicki and stuff and, learn more about their situation.
And Vicky's like, "Go away!"
Yeah, Vicki wants no part in it. But the Doctor, I guess because he was missing Susan, and he sees some of Susan in Vicki, tries to, comfort her and,
It works.
It works.
And she shows him to go see Bennett. So the Doctor's at the door. He's like, "Yo, Bennett, can I come in?" And Bennett says, "No." Or something like that.
Yeah, nope.
And the Doctor just breaks down the door.
Yeah.
And it turns out that in Bennett's room there's tape recorders with the sound. And then the Doctor finds this hidden trap door.
Which he goes into.
And then he goes into this ceremonial cave of some sort.
Yeah,
and
it's like a subterranean
He finds
area.
the Coquillian costume.
And then he's like,
"You know these robes are only used for ceremonial purposes, right, Bennett?"
dun dun, Bennett is Coquillian.
Dun dun. I didn't see that coming.
I totally saw it coming.
Didn't see it coming.
I totally saw it coming. So it turns out that Bennett actually killed all
Everyone.
the crew members.
And all the people of Dido.
Yeah, and then to cover it up, he just decided to dress up like a Didonian.
Yeah, because he killed one person. He was going to jail and the crime hadn't been reported to Earth yet. So he didn't want the rescue ship to find out. He killed off an entire species and the crew of a ship to cover one murder. Seems like good logic to me.
But he left Vicki, which was his one mistake.
Not really. He said he left Vicki so she would back up his story.
Yeah. But he and the Doctor engage in this fight. And it turns out that the crew members aren't all dead.
Those are the crew members.
Who were they?
people of Dido.
Oh, I thought the Didonians were like the...
No, the doctor said those were only used for ceremonial purposes.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the doctor gets knocked out, and then Ian and Barbara break into the TARDIS with the doctor's TARDIS key. And they're in the TARDIS. And then the doctor's like, I'm gonna go talk to Vicki. And he goes and talks to Vicki and offers to take her with
Forgot
them.
the part where Quillian dies.
Oh.
Yeah, he dies.
The Dido people push him off a cliff.
61.
So he dies.
We're counting Sandy, who was so brutally murdered by Barbara.
Barbara Mask.
Yeah, she not only does she kill Sandy, she uses Vicki and Bennett's one flare to do it.
I thought they had another one, because Ian had the flare gun later and was like, well, if anyone comes, we have this.
Oh, okay, well, I mean, she still used one of their flares, which was pretty messed up.
And when the Dido people just destroy the spaceship's transponder signal so the rescue ship can't come. So Vicki doesn't know it, but she really has no choice but to go with the doctor at that point.
But yeah, they end up taking her in. Susan 2!
Susan 2.0! Then they leave.
And that's the end of the serial. It was very short and sweet.
It's just a Vicki introduction, to be honest.
Yeah, now Barbara's brutally murdered 5 different aliens. 3 Morphos, or 4, how many ever it was. 4 Morphos, a Dalek, and now Sandy.
Barbara, why? Barbara.
She's so willing to kill different species.
Cold-blooded killer.
But no, in regards to Vicki, well, when we watched An Adventure in Space and Time, in regards to Susan's write-out, they kind of made it seem like it was just Carol Ann Ford who wanted to not be part of the show anymore.
Right.
So now that they've introduced Vicki, who's kind of similar to Susan, which they even touched upon because the doctor was like, yo, you should come with us. Because he misses Susan, I guess. I feel like they wanted to keep Susan on the show. She didn't want to, so they just kind of replaced her with a look-alike / act-alike character. But we'll see. We'll see.
It's going to be a completely different dynamic, considering Susan was the doctor's granddaughter.
That's
and
true.
Vicki isn't.
That's true.
Vicki's just some person they picked up on some planet.
Yeah. Vicki actually looks a lot like Susan, though.
Maybe.
In my opinion. Or how I saw it.
So Vicki was the first companion specifically invited to go on the journey by the doctor.
Instead of just kidnapped.
Ian and Barbara.
Yeah. I'm gonna be sad when Ian and Barbara leave. Probably more sad than when Susan left.
Yeah, because Ian and Barbara will have been there for longer.
Yeah.
And they do
like
more.
Yeah, I like them more.
So, do you remember, like, way back in the Daleks, when only Susan can go to the TARDIS because, like, the lock had 26 different permutations. If you did one wrong, it would seal the lock permanently.
Yeah.
How did Ian and Barbara get into the TARDIS in this episode without the Doctor?
Dunno. Maybe you just taught them, like, off-screen or whatever.
Blind luck. Well, I hope we do this right. The Doctor wakes up. What did you do to my TARDIS?
Yeah. But yeah, this was kind of just a Vicki introduction. Now that I think more about it, but I actually liked it for what it was.
I'm sad they wasted that costume on 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Though. That was definitely the best costume that's been made for the entire show so far.
Yeah. And you didn't see the whole Bennett is Quillian thing coming.
No.
But I totally did. Kind of probably because it reminded me of that Sherlock Holmes story, Case of Identity. Which is kind of
It's been a while since I've read that.
Yeah, I just read it a few weeks ago. So
just read it a few weeks ago.
That's just. A few weeks is just.
It's like me saying I just watched District 9 a month ago.
Okay, well, a month is kind of overdoing it. 3 weeks?
3 3 weeks is a week away from being a
Could
month.
go either way on 3 weeks, to be honest.
3 weeks is a week away from
But
being a month.
personally, I'm gonna count 3 weeks as just.
Not even close.
Maybe 3.5 is the cutoff line for just.
How do you define half a week? 3.5 days?
Oh no.
3 days? 4?
Yeah, let's just go with 4.
You're a maniac.
Kind of like Bennett, except without the fact that he killed a bunch of people.
So this was the first episode aired in 1965.
Yeah.
The first serial aired in 1965.
No, it was the first episode too, because
Yeah.
it aired on January 2nd, I think.
2nd and 9th.
And apparently, when Ian and Barbara leave, the Doctor returns them to 1965 instead of 63. So they just skip like 2 years of their lives.
Everyone just didn't care. Again, no one filed a missing persons report.
It's
Look
gonna
at
get very. I wonder when the series is gonna get very time travel mind screwy
Later. Let's look at some
I'm
fun
kind of
facts.
dreading that. I mean, I like it how it is. Time travel without the mind screwiness. Mainly because they're not going to the same place.
It gets very convoluted later because they have to come up with all these rules. Like the Doctor's not allowed to cross his own time stream. And there's fixed points in time that you're not allowed to change.
Jeez.
So, Vicki doesn't have a last name. Ever.
It's fine.
In the extended prose and novels, she's given a last name of Pallister.
I'm okay with her not having a last name.
She's one of the only few that doesn't have the last name, apparently.
Huh.
Other companions without a last name include Polly, Mel, and Ace.
Ace.
Ace is a companion of the 7th Doctor, I think.
Huh.
Yeah,
Ace.
definitely
it
a
up right
companion.
now.
Definitely a companion of the 7th Doctor. Yep, 7th Doctor. Let's look at these other fun facts. Apparently, this did better than the Dalek invasion of Earth in regards to TV ratings, which is interesting considering this was only 2 episodes and the Daleks were pretty popular even in '64.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting, actually. Maybe people were like, "Hey, is Susan really written out? Let's watch next week to see if she comes back." And then she didn't.
Sean Connery, to see if she comes back. Susan, you open the door, Susan. So, in the version we watched, which was the version released on VHS, they cut out a scene at the end which leads into the next serial, where the TARDIS is like teetering on the edge of a cliff. So, that apparently happened, and that supposedly leads directly into the next serial.
Which is the Romans, which I'm looking forward to, actually.
Another
Sounds
historical
interesting.
serial.
Yeah, I mean, when we were watching the other historical serials, or like the week before we watched them, I was like, Aztecs, it's probably gonna be pretty interesting. French Revolution, whatever. But like the Romans, that's...
I like the Romans
forward.
less than the Aztecs or the French Revolution, to be honest. I'm not looking forward to it as much.
There's probably gonna be some Colosseum stuff. And
You know, I
lions.
could probably predict the plot now. They're probably going to get mistaken for gladiators and made to fight to the death.
Yeah, probably.
Then they'll try to have an accurate depiction of Roman life. And fail.
And the Doctor's probably gonna be doing some stuff off to the side.
Some Tagana.
Yeah, there's probably gonna be some warrior or something, like Tagana or Ixta or whatever. Ixta. That fanfic about Ixta. We were reading really terrible fanfics before this. Just a little before we started recording. And there was one about Ixta.
That one minor character who appears in like 4 episodes.
Yeah. And there were worse ones, which we won't mention.
Yeah.
Whofic.com. Doctor Who fanfic site.
There was something cool here that... Oh, yeah. The crew discusses their problems with caves. which occurred during
Oh,
an
yeah.
unearthly child, Daleks, Marco Polo, and the Keys of Marinus, which made me think, yeah, every time they're in a cave, they get some really terrible luck.
Yeah. Unearthly Child, they were trapped in the Cave of Skulls. And the Daleks,
It was the
the aqueduct thingy.
Yeah.
Um,
No, the aqueduct was
well, I mean,
Sensorites.
no, the where they were trying to infiltrate the city
Oh.
through the underground
Oh yeah,
system.
the underground cave where people jumped. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We mentioned this while we were watching, where Ian and the Doctor came to a pit and they're like, we should jump across, which harkened back to the Daleks where they decided to jump across a pit and people died.
Yeah.
Ian.
They decided to just
And
jump
Ian
in
was
the
there.
Yeah, Ian almost died. In Marco Polo, they were in
Cave
that.
of 500 eyes.
Yeah, and in Keys of Marinus, that was
The
the
ice
cave, the styrofoam cave.
Oh yeah, special effects in this serial. The spaceship looked relatively cool.
Yeah, it was just like what you'd imagine a spaceship being, like just a few rooms, some
In
technologically advanced
2471 or whenever this
Yeah.
serial took place.
Yeah, Vicki didn't believe Ian and Barbara when they were like, "We're from 1963."
So, considering this is set in like 24 something, that means it took place after the Dalek invasion of Earth. Which means that they successfully rebuilt after the invasion.
Yeah, good job, Susan and whatever that is.
Susan and David.
Yeah. And others.
It was just last week.
Yeah, I forgot all their names.
Dortmund.
No, Dortmund died.
Yeah, I know he died. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, the costume was the most impressive part of this serial, special effects slash prop wise. Sandy looked pretty cool too.
Sandy looked like a puppet. Like a really big man-sized puppet.
Yeah. Not fully man-sized, like man on all fours sized, or a little smaller.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, if Sandy can escape the side of the cave, by falling in the pit to get eaten by Sandy, wouldn't you just be able to escape?
Well, I don't think Sandy would even eat you, so the trap is completely ruined. Because Vicki was like, Sandy doesn't eat people. He's my pet. After Barbara shot him.
Ian and the Doctor were in no trouble at all. That makes their escape way less harrowing. If you go back and rewatch it knowing Sandy doesn't eat people.
Yeah, but at least they didn't spend a whole lot of time on it like they did in the Daleks when they were jumping over the cliff.
It was like an entire episode by itself. Where we couldn't see what was happening.
We couldn't see anything when they were doing that.
Oh, speaking of Susan, there was that scene where the Doctor's like, Susan, open the doors.
Yeah.
And then Susan didn't exist.
Pretty
And it was like,
sad.
oh. But then Bob was like, why don't you teach me how to open the doors, Doctor? And he's like, okay, it's switch number 4.
Now Barbara knows how to open doors.
You know, when you open doors, new horizons are open to you.
Or you get kidnapped.
Or killed. Or split up from your friends. All things which have happened in this show.
They split up again in this serial.
Yeah.
Ian's like, hey, I'll go back to the ship. I mean, they kind of didn't have a choice. Since
Yeah,
Quillian was
Ian and Barbara didn't know where the Doctor was, they were like, let's just go back to the ship. I assume he's going to go there. Instead of seeing if he needed help. Which he did! The Doctor Quillian fight scene, though.
Yeah. It's pretty condensed, really.
The fight scene was pretty cool, actually. It was pretty well staged.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. We didn't get any emails this week. Again.
Thanks. No.
Thanks, all 8 fans. Or less. Or more. We're just going to approximate it with 8 again.
No, but all snarkiness aside, you should email us.
The Doctor at decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, suggestions, concerns, angry rants, love letters, hate letters, fan mail.
Fan fiction about us. No.
No. Next week we're watching
The Romans.
4 episodes. in 7 days. We've already planned it out.
We have our schedule cannot be changed because it's perfect.
It can be changed.
It's perfect.
It can be changed.
It can be changed, but it's still perfect.
It can be changed.
Let's change it. No.
Before we leave, I think this was the last story written by David Whitaker, so...
Oh.
I think I read that somewhere, so...
So...
He wrote some pretty good episodes before. I don't remember what he wrote, but he wrote some pretty good episodes before.
Yes. And on that note, the end.